Hello and welcome everyone to our live event, Achieve the Impossible Report, How to Customize Jira Reports with Simple Coding. I'm really excited. Today with me, we have Rustem, Andreas, and Andre from Actonic. How are you guys? How are you doing?
Doing good, thank you. I'm still very impressed, or let's say, I think we have a very cool title for the event today, The Impossible Report. It sounds so cool.
Let's see if we can achieve that and how it looks like. So where are you guys located actually? Where do you sit?
Andreas,
Who
do you
should
want to
start?
start?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will start.
Because you
Yeah,
already
so-
started.
So the Actonic office is actually in Stuttgart,
Okay.
southern Germany. But I'm just working most of the time from my home office that is more in the area of Karlsruhe, so a little bit more to the north.
Cool. Rustem, where are you?
Well, I mostly work remotely. I'm located in Serbia, in the southern Serbia, in the city of Niš, a place with a very beautiful mountains, rivers, forests, and very nice weather. I prefer it more than it is in Germany. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
it's always teasing me.
Yeah.
So in
Andre,
the last
where are
one,
you?
Stuttgart, in our headquarters.
Okay, cool. So I think we have already some people in here. So let's start with a small introduction, some slides before we actually dive into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I heard Rustem is a really big fan of JavaScript. So let's see how we will do today. So yeah, my name is Jan Szepański. I'm one of the co-founders here at Unicus. I'm the CMO, and I'm also working in consulting projects here and there. I have overall 13 years of experience with the Atlassian products, 5 years working in the professional service area, which is mainly my Unicus time. I'm the Atlassian community lead here in Hamburg, and my focus topics are on IT service management and SAFe. I'm also certified in some areas. Yeah, Unicus was founded in 2019, 100% remote company, although we already have some offices in Hamburg, Düsseldorf, and Kulmbach. We are what we call ourselves a cloud-first solution partner. Back then, we started because we thought cloud will be the future. And 5 years later, we don't have server anymore. There's still data center. Let's see. Team 24 is knocking on the door. Let's see what kind of announcements Atlassian will make. But yeah, also Platinum Solution Partner and specialized in IT service management and cloud migrations. We're a Device 42 authorized partner as well. With over 50 employees and over 30 partners, we do serve our customers a wide variety of our product portfolio and solution portfolio, which mainly consists out of IT service management and enterprise service management, where we have a really strong business focus on, especially with also AI topics, digital workplace and collaboration platforms, and knowledge management, mainly all around Confluence, test management solutions and DevOps. We also are a partner of Sneak, and agile transformations. We really try to get our scaled agile specialization this year. So we already work on agile transformation. In general, we do cloud migrations like from the very beginning. This is what we do. This is what we're known for. But we also have a strong focus on process digitization and process optimization with different methods to do business process optimization. License management is also something that is always included in our business and what we do, and product trainings for different roles and apps like the report builder of Actonic. So, and without further ado and without talking too much, I would like to welcome our guests from Actonic. Rustem, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. Hi again. Yeah, I'm a product owner here at Actonic with more than 10 years in reporting, business reporting, and IT reporting. I manage dozens of business and IT reporting projects for many customers. My focus of interest is mostly IT service management, operational support and analysis for those who are more deeper in this topic. Yeah, and I'm a big data analysis enthusiast. I do really like to dive deeper into whatever data is available for me in whatever fields of interest, let's say. And yeah, I do coding in Python and in R, unfortunately, or fortunately. Now I have to work more with JavaScript, which actually, is not my verbal language of coding, but it's okay. Yeah, that's I think it. Thank you.
Andre, you're next.
Hello, everyone. So in the previous, my previous job, I was working as an Atlassian consultant, as Atlassian developer, and did many more different things around Atlassian world. But here in Actonic, I'm responsible for product development. I'm acting as technical lead and solution architect. So I'm assisting multiple teams to build products for Atlassian Marketplace successfully. Hello.
Cool. And last one, we have Andreas.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to see you guys here, all of the attendees. I mean, I don't actually see you, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so first things first, I love Star Trek. That's the last bullet point, but a very important thing to know about me. No, just kidding. So at Ictonic, I'm expert for all of the apps because I'm responsible for the marketing activities that we are doing, not just for Report Builder, but also for our data protection tool and for some other apps. I'm also community leader in Stuttgart, together with another person who's co-leading with me. I'm also an Atlassian creator in this program, mostly on LinkedIn active. So if you don't follow me there yet, please do so. I actually have a little bit of experience in web development from a few years back, including JavaScript. So that's why our topic today is going to be particularly interesting for me, because I think I can actually understand what Andre is going to talk about. But my roots are in graphics design. That was my training. And so the three of us together, Rustem, Andre, and me, I think if you want to transpose that to HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, then I think Rustem is HTML because he gives us the structure, what will we build inside of Report Builder, what do customers want, and so on. Andre and his team, of course, they will make everything work. That's the JavaScript. And me as a designer, I'm responsible for the CSS, so everything will look beautiful. Maybe that's a good way to see it.
I actually like that very much.
Thank you.
Andre, obviously, as well. Feels like the first time you said that. So now
That's right. Yeah, I didn't prepare it. That was now spontaneous.
Perfect. So I try to remember that. I think that are good questions. What are you? What's your
programming language are you?
Yeah, that's perfect. Cool.
By the way, I don't know what is R, Wisdom. What is R?
That's mostly for statistical analysis and with functional approach to coding, etc. So I prefer it other way more than other languages, I would say. I really like functional coding.
Never heard of it. That tells you a lot about my status as a developer.
Well, I think since JavaScript languages are out, and especially with React, I think we have a new programming language each week, feels like. So every time you refresh the page, it's like you have a new JavaScript language out there. Cool. I think, Rustem, you wanted to share your screen, right, and take over.
Yeah. If you don't mind, of course. Yeah, but just a few words to start. Basically, how did we start with Report Builder in general is that we had our first application, Timesheet Builder, which allowed people to create their timesheets. And in time, with Timesheet Builder, we discovered that what people need is basically to have some sort of capability to take their data from Jira and put it somewhere. The thing how it works in Jira typically is that here I think I will start my screen sharing. Is that imagine you have some issues. I'm just showing one of our instances now. You have a number of issues in your instance, and people actually feel there's some data, for instance, how much time did they spend or whatever. And then you, for instance, again, need to export it into some invoices or beautiful reports, whatever you actually need and whatever complies with your company regulations. What I'm showing now is an example of Tectonic invoice, with your company regulations, company branding styles, whatever. The thing is, typically you can't do that directly in Jira. You need either to export the data using now I'm showing, of course, very rough example of exporting the data to CSV, let's say, or Excel, and then importing that data somehow to another application or directly into your invoices or whatever. You may, of course, use many applications allowing you to do some enhancements on that, to provide a better exporting capabilities, to provide some integrations with maybe some existing tools for invoicing you already have or you're going to buy. But still, you need to do a lot of things so that your data, which is already there in Jira, will turn into something beautiful, like, for instance, this invoice or whatever report or purchase order or some offer or whatever. And we call that we call that last mile problem. So it is how to turn the data, which is thoroughly fulfilled by your employees, by your team, by yourself in Jira, how to turn it into something beautiful you could use right away, without any necessity to do, data transformation with third-party tools, with a lot of integrations, with necessity to do manual copy pasting, etc., etc., etc. So basically, to resolve that problem, we introduced the thing called scripted report, and a little bit later, my colleagues will tell you about that. And that feature, it is very welcomed by our customers when we actually enabled them a capability, to get their invoices, to get their reports with very complex structure right away from Jira. The few examples I just wanted to show, you could actually find them on our portal page. So an examples of custom reports you could create with our scripting right away in Jira itself without the necessity to do additional data extracting. So like costs and profits or profits and losses reports, some forecast materials. That's the example of the report we created for totally non-IT company who are actually gathering information about their material spenders in Jira. So but today's focus will be on pure essentials, basically on where did we started all around with this scripting, is about creation of the invoices. I think that's it. So I hope you guys got the idea what we are going to achieve today, to achieve the something you could never achieve in Jira, a beautiful, branded, tailored report purely generated from Jira data without any necessity to integrate with whatever data processing languages, data processing engines or something like that. Okay. I think that's it.
For me, actually, that sounds like the impossible to do. So I'm really looking forward to what we're building.
There will be just a few dozen, maybe even less lines of code in JavaScript. Yeah, but
So
now
we will do more with R and Python, or
oh no, with pure JavaScript, very simple things. Yeah. So, and I'm passing the word to Andreas now, so that he would actually show the application a little bit.
all right.
Yes. Okay, let's do that. So sorry to keep you all waiting from the actual topic that we are that we want to talk about with the invoices. But before we do that, let's have a quick look at the application itself. That's kind of my job to show you. So if I'm hoping that after this event today, you will feel the need and the urge to try this out for yourself and play around with it. So if you want to do that, just go to the Atlassian Marketplace. This is how the Marketplace page looks like. Of course, you can start a free trial, as with all of the apps. Yeah, just have a look. If you have it installed in your instance, in your Jira project, you will find it under the apps tab on the top right here. And the first thing that you will see is that you see nothing because you don't have any reports yet, but that's not too bad because we can just go ahead and create a report and we will be led to our gallery. So we have a few reports already, let's say, pre-configured for you just to use. They are ready to use. You just can click on them and start working with them. We have a few that are focusing on ITSM, so that's interesting for you, Jan. And a few other things. So, for example, closed versus reopened is a look at how many tickets have been reopened when they have been closed before, or created versus resolved, how many tickets have been created or resolved in a certain period of time. That's what you can use to improve your processes. And as I said, they are absolutely ready to use. You can just click on them and start working with them. Inside of the reports, we have a standard layout, which is a panel on the left side with all of the input parameters that this report accepts. This is where you configure the report. You will usually specify a scope of tickets that you want to work with, or a time frame, or some other options. It really depends on the type of report that you want to create. On the top, you have the title page with the name of the report, which you can change very easily, as you can see. And then you can add this report to your personal report. So when you have configured it, that's this tab on the top here. And of course, you can have a whole list of reports here for yourself. We also have another thing that is called scripted reports, and that is what Andre is going to talk about next. And the interesting thing about the gallery and the scripted reports is that it's basically one and the same thing. So the reports that we have, you can actually go ahead and click on this edit button here, and you will see some more elements on the screen. So this is where all of the input parameters are set up, which will later show up here on the left side. And we also have a template tab, which is basically the HTML code and the CSS code. As you can see here, we have some CSS styling, and then here we have the HTML. And we also have the script tab, which of course houses all of the JavaScript code, which makes the whole thing functional. So we have all of the calculations or data processing, whatever we need right here. There's also a very handy split editor if you want to have both things going on at the same time. And that means that you can basically change everything about these reports that we have in the gallery. You can adjust them to your needs, to your liking, and I think we will also talk about that a little bit later. Starting from, changing a color of some graph or some diagram or something like that, until, completely rewriting the logic behind the data processing. So yeah, that's what you can do. But you can also, of course, start from scratch and create your very own scripted report. And that is available also in this menu on the top right, new scripted report. And that is basically what we are doing today. And with that, I will hand it over to Andre to start coding.
All right. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yes, yeah, perfect. So as Andreas mentioned, your journey will start from Marketplace, where you will install the app, our Report Builder app. And when you will see it first time, you will get this nice page which explains what you can do with the app, from which modules it consists of, where to get more details, information about the app, and where to get help and support. But after reading all this useful information, you probably would like to start creating your first app. As Andreas already mentioned, you can start from the gallery, from ready-to-go reports, which require no coding. You can just start using them. Or we are today to talk about custom invoices, which created from the scratch. You can start creating your own new scripted report. The page for creating scripted report looks pretty simple, just a few tabs, and currently it's empty because we don't have any template or code yet. But we will fix it. We will implement our report, and it will look beautiful, I hope. Give me a second. I just want to remind you what we're going to achieve. This nice template is the most typical invoice template I've ever seen. It consists of logo of the company, some information which could be static, like address, company name, email, phone number, whatever, and some dynamic data, like invoice number, current date, and the list of tasks with quantity, unit price, and total sum of all the tasks. And we're going to repeat absolutely the same template and maybe even beautify it a little bit. How to do it? First of all, what is scripted reports? Scripted reports is just a combination of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and our framework, which we called scripted reports, SR. It allows you to communicate with Jira, extract data, somehow calculate it, and show it to end users. So you as creators are able to create your own reports. It could be whatever, integration with third-party system, embedding of some visualization into Jira, calculation based on Jira data, or as our current case, a template, invoice template. First of all, how it works in general. You have two tabs together, where template is a typical HTML and CSS, and script is just a JavaScript, plain old JavaScript with ability to use our framework, our scripted reports framework. Every time when you would like to show some data in the report, you need to prepare it inside script and send it to template. And then you will be able to preview it, to see it here. So you can see currently that we have not very useful report. We just show static HTML. Of course, the real-world example or our invoice will require some data to be prepared. We can prepare data by just creating a variable. Let's call it data mapping. And we put here some variables like maybe title, just for example. And some description. So after creation of these variables, we can send them to our invoice. To do it, we just need to put this mapping object inside sr.render method. This method should be always your very last one. This method will actually render the report itself. And then when it's sent to template, you need to somehow show it here. And there are no magic. We are using the framework which called handlebars. Handlebars allows you to put variables inside HTML with this nice syntax, with these few curved brackets. So if I would like to print title somewhere here with h1 tag, I just need to put title. And the same for description, maybe with another level of heading, and variable name desk. Let's try to refresh our report, and here you can see that the variable names title and description used here in curved brackets show actual data, so actual value of these variables. So looks good. We know now we know how to communicate between script and template, how to send some data, calculated data from script to template. But now go back to our invoice. It's not particularly about invoice. It's about any kind of report. You always need to go through 3 typical steps: get data, calculate data, and somehow show data. Maybe display, better word here. So now we need to find out how we can get data from Jira. Calculate it means to transform Jira issues to something that we need inside invoice. And then we need to display it. So make a beautiful template with invoice, which will use data from Jira issues. Very first example, which I wanted to show you, is about case when we have one ticket and we would like to get all the invoices from one ticket and create one invoice. So very simple case, one ticket, one invoice. First of all, how to get data? Actually, you can just do a REST call, but it's not quite useful. We've already prepared a lot of useful examples, which you can find here in documentation, which explains how you, as a creator of the reports, are able to communicate with Jira, create input parameters, other configurable options, and so on and so forth. So we would like to get data from issue. From which issue? Of course, we can do something like this: issue key equals something like this. But just imagine, every time when you would like to change the report, you need to go inside sources and change this hard-coded value. Of course, it's not useful at all. Every time when you think about something that should be configurable from user to user, from calculation to calculation, it's the best approach is to put it to input parameters. And to do it, you just need to have a look at our code snippets, input parameters, and it explains that you can use different type of input parameters and get its values inside script. Okay, where to do it? You need to go to here in General tab and choose type of the field which you would like to add as input parameter. As we discussed, we would like to solve the case where we have one issue and create one invoice based on the content of the issue. So we need issue picker. And we have here 2 fields, name and title. Name is something that we will use internally in our script, and title, that's something that users will see and will be able to fill. Issue, let's call it like this. This field could be a single issue picker or multiple issue picker. For our case, one issue, one invoice, it's absolutely fine if it will be a single issue picker. So when the field created, it appears here in the left panel as issue. And we can actually choose our issues here. Okay. But the question how to get now this parameter, how we can get this value, this selected issue, to use it. As I showed you previously, here in the documentation, you have these building blocks for everyday need, which you can just copy paste and insert inside your script. So our very first step, we need to get this issue from issue input parameter. Selected issue. Okay, how we can check that it works fine? You have multiple ways. You can send the variable inside template, or if you're a front-end developer and knows about JavaScript a bit, you've heard about something which called console log. It's a method which allows you to print any variables and its values inside console log. This is a place inside your browser, actually here. When we render our report, we will see this variable name and its value. And if you can see, this value exactly what we've chosen in our issue picker. So end user will be able to choose the issue which will be our source for invoices, for invoice work logs. And we know how to get this value, just one row. Get value by field name. And we need to use the field name, which we set here in the name. Okay, it's created. Now, how we can get all the fields of this issue? Again, let's go to our snippets. We have example of getting issues. We can get issues by JQL, Jira query language. We have a few examples with particular fields, with all the fields. For our purposes, it would be absolutely fine if you get all the fields from the issue. And how it works. We have, again, one row only, which get all the issues by JQL. But we need just one issue. So that's why we can change this Jira query language to something like key equal and our issue key. So this tiny JQL will return us one issue only, our issue with all its fields, with real-time data. Again, console log is our friend. It will assist us to check that we are on the right track and getting the data correctly. And here you can see that we have issues. It's an array which consists of one element only with index 0. And this is our issue with all its fields. Who created it? Who is currently assigning? What's the summary of the issue? And how much time spent we have inside this issue. I think it's a good idea to open it.
Andrei, maybe one question in between. There is a question from Saskia. Do I have to use the built-in editor, or is there another way to code actually?
Yeah, it's a very nice question. Actually, for some small and simple reports like invoice, which I will show you, built-in editor will be enough, because you will have just a few rows of code to get content and to show it, to visualize it. But if you have something complicated, something really complex, which consists of hundreds of rows, this web editor could be not enough. For this case, we invented the mechanism of integration with your own local IDE, whatever you prefer. It could be Visual Studio Code, it could be WebStorm, or whatever you prefer. It become available only when you first time save the report. So let's do it, and I can quickly show you how it could look like. Invoice for single issue. Something like this. That's how currently our invoice looks like. It's good, but not enough. What I wanted to show you, that after saving your report to your list of your own reports, this tab become available, external editor. And here you have a few possibilities. One of them is to use JS Fiddle. It's one of pretty popular online editing tool to work with JavaScript, HTML in your browser. But if you're a fan of local IDE, here the way how you can use it. Everything you need to know and to do is to clone our repository and insert this link for your report and continue develop locally. And again, whatever you prefer, Visual Studio Code or any other IDE, it supports all of them because it's just a normal standard Node.js repository, nothing more.
Okay, thank you. There was another question. Can you explain what exactly you mean by real-time data or live data?
Yeah, it's an important topic because as Rustam already mentioned, when you work with Jira issues, when you open it, you see the actual data, the valid data, up-to-date fields. But if you would like to work with data and somehow aggregate it, the most typical way when you export it. So when you go to filters, all issues, export issue somewhere, like CSV on XLS, and keep on working in external editor. But when you're doing it, you start working with out-of-date values, with out-of-date tickets, because directly after export, there are no connection between your exported file and real data, which keep on modifying inside Jira. And the big advantage of report builder is that's the app using the actual values. So it means that every time when you open your report, you will see the actual data, and the data has just received. All right, anything else?
So I would have a question. Will Report Builder send any Jira data anywhere for processing? Do we have any data privacy concerns here?
There are absolutely no privacy concerns because all the calculations and all the data stay inside your Jira cloud. We are not sending it outside of Jira for processing. This is the biggest advantage of the app because it doesn't use any external application, database, or whatever to process the data. All the calculations, all the data aggregation, and all the steps during the report creation is stay in Jira only. So there are no any other external tools involved.
Awesome. Thank you.
So it's pure 100 web-based and cloud-based application, which completely do everything inside Jira Cloud and nowhere else. Okay. Any other questions?
No,
If no,
not right
let's
now.
perfect. Let's continue with JavaScript. When we have our issue received, we would like to know how to show this data inside our invoice. What we want to show? First of all, we would like to show summary of the issue and all the span time. So we already know how to get data. We know how to send some variables inside template. It will be our calculation step. And we would like to send to invoice summary of the issue. We need to put something here. And span time. Let's call this variable time spent. All the time which logged for one particular issue. To get summary, what we need to do? Let's have a look at our object which we receive from issues. So it's an array. We need to get the element with index 0 and go to fields and find something which similar to summary. Yeah, this is a field summary. So to get this variable and to put it to template, we will take issues, fields, summary. All right, and for time spent, we need to find the field which contains all the logged time inside Jira. And I already know this field with the name time spent. Again, we need to repeat the same, go to issues, fields, time spent. Now we can put our variables inside the template, like this, for example, summary and time spent. Let's have a look at the report. Summary, managed services, merge. Is it correct? Is it our issue? I already visited another page. Yeah, this is our summary, managed services, merge. And this is our time. You see time tracking, 2 days, 5 minutes. But we see something different. We see something much bigger than 2 days. Why it's happened? Because by default, Jira stores all the durations in seconds. So it means this is the seconds of time spent of this issue. So to convert seconds to hours, we can easily divide it to 3,600. Let's have a look. 16 hours and something after it. So 2 days means 8 hours per day, 8 hours plus 8 hours plus 5 minutes. This is what we can see here. But this part looks not good. And in this case, we can just easily use JavaScript to round it. One of the way to do it, the easiest one probably, is to use float data type to convert our variable to float and then to round it to 2 chars after decimal. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it looks much better. So we extracted data from selected issue and we calculated some data based on the issue fields, like extracted summary, time spent, converted it to hours, and everything is here. So now the question, okay, great, we have our very simple draft for invoice. But just a reminder, we need to achieve something like this. So how to do it? If you like HTML and CSS, and especially CSS, like Andreas, you can keep on working here inside the template and build everything here and put all the styles directly here. Let's say this is our element with ID invoice. And inside this invoice, we will put all our content. And inside style, we can beautify it with some CSS magic, like color, for example, blue.
Maybe while you write the CSS part, that was always a hard pain for me. I used to be a developer as well. Not used to be. I tried it. Let's say. Is there a support for common CSS preprocessors like CSSC, for example, or any other thing?
Nice question. We decided to simplify the process as much as possible. So that's why there are no preprocessors available. Okay. You can use just a plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which is the most common. So it means it will be, it will work absolutely the same everywhere. It will not require any build process, and it could support any browser. So build once, and all the users in your company will be able to reuse it. No preprocessor supported at the moment, and we think is as simple as possible. Keep it simple. So we are trying to keep it simple. So I've added the color to make it beautiful. Sorry, Andreas. And what we can do next, we can add the font. I don't know what's the best font for invoices, maybe
Comic Sans,
Comic
of course.
Sans.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry again. Yeah. No, it's a bad joke, of course. We are not going to build the whole invoice like this. It's too much time. It's very time consuming. The best approach which I could offer you is to use any WYSIWYG editor. What you see that you get editor, where you can work in line with content without getting deep inside HTML and CSS. It's not advertisement, so you can find any your preferable WYSIWYG. I found this one, which allows you to build any template, just easily adding it with colors, fonts, styles, insert images, and so on and so far. And the biggest advantage that you then can go here in HTML mode and copy it. It's exactly what we need for our case. We can now put it here in template and have a look at our beautiful invoice. Looks beautiful, but of course it uses some static data, not the real one, because it's not connected to our variables yet. To connect it to our variables, we need to put it inside the template. What we already have, we have summary somewhere here, and we have quantity, so amount of hours which log to this particular issue. And I've already explained that easiest way to put variables inside template is to use handlebars. This nice syntax of putting variables by its name with just a few curved brackets. To do it, we need to put just a name here. Yeah, we remove all the unnecessary information. Do not be careful and use exactly the name which you would like to see, and then go to again HTML mode, copy it, paste it here, and let's have a look. This is exactly our quantity and our summary of the issue. If I choose another issue, I'm not sure where I have work logs, maybe here. Yeah, you see, the quantity has been changed and description has been changed because now it's using the content of another issue. So let's go back to this one. It contains more data, which we can show and use for our example. Okay, so this quantity and description uses the real data from the issue, but all the rest part of the invoice still static and hard-coded. We also need to change it. Let's define what we would like to make configurable. Date. Date, it's the actual date of the invoice creation. So we don't need to configure it and make it configurable from invoice to invoice. We can make it auto-calculated, so it could use the real date. To do it, we just need to go here, back to our data mapping, and add one more variable. Let's call it just date. And we can use JavaScript date object to put date inside this field. But again, we need to take this variable name and inside our WYSIWYG editor, insert the date. When it's done, again, copy paste, replace the template, and have a look at this beautiful date, which contains date, time, time zone, and even something else.
Everything you could ever want.
Exactly. Of course, it's too much, and the most of the time you would like to see it as a short date, so we can easily improve it to date string. It's a standard JavaScript method which allows you to extract only a short part of the date from the object, like here, Tuesday, 16 April. Beautiful. Invoice. Invoice.
And again, it's
Mhm.
live data, right? So tomorrow, the same report is going to say April 17th.
Exactly.
correct?
Yes,
Yes.
of course. Because it's auto-generated every time when you open it. It gets the real data, live data, and it calculates all the values every time from beginning. So it means the date will be valid one. Every day the new one. But invoice number is something different. The most likely your users would like to configure it manually and set invoice number manually. So to do it, we need to add one more input parameter to our left panel. Invoice number is something that could looks like string or number. Let's use string. The variable name could be something like invoice number. And the title is something that user will see. Let's make their life easier and explain what we expect here. Invoice number. Something like this. But it's not everything. Now we need to get this input parameter by its name invoice number, invoice num. Let's delete all this console log. We don't need them anymore. We've checked the data. It looks good. And then we can send this invoice number to our template. And as you already know, everything we need is just to put the variable name in the right place here. Template, updated. Let's have a look. 11. And every time when we change our invoice and recalculate the report, it will use the actual value of this field. Of course, the right invoice number is 42. Let's put it back.
The answer to our questions.
Which one?
Right? 42? Isn't that the answer to our questions from
Exactly.
Hitchhiker's Guide? Okay, but what I wanted to highlight here is the absolute flexibility that you have with the system, because as a company you might have a system where invoice numbers are a combination of maybe some aspects of the current date and then some number that is, manual. So you could also script something that displays for example, the year, like 2024, then the month 04, and then a dash or something like that, and only then it will display the number that is coming from this input field. So whatever your requirements are, you can easily implement it. And it's
Yes.
the goal is to reduce errors. I think that's also worth mentioning, because everything that you have to do manually, it's not only boring and tedious and nobody wants to do it, but it also increases the risk of having some kind of errors. And the more you can have automatically, it's always going to be correct.
Absolutely agree. That's why, because it's not just a number, it could contain some letters. We decided to use type string. But if your invoice or your variable is always number or always date, you can choose the right type here, and field value will be validated automatically. All right. Get back to our invoice. What is missed? Unit price and calculation of the total. Unit price is our hourly rate. And again, we should ask ourselves, is it the static data which should be hard-coded inside the report, or it's something that could be changed over the time? I hope hourly rate is something that could change over the time, because we becoming better and better as service provider or whatever. And this parameter could be configured also. Let's go to general, and here choose number, because hourly rate could not be a string or something else. Let's call this variable just a rate, and for users, put the name hourly rate to make it more clear what we expect to put inside input parameters. And now we can decide, is it the right place to put this variable or not? You can easily just drag and drop it and configure the order of input parameters. The good idea here, you always should put the most often changeable fields in the top of the list. So what will be changed the most of the time? Definitely it will be issue, then most likely invoice number, because it will be different every time, and hourly rate in the very bottom, because I suppose it will not be changed too often. Let's say we have some hourly rate now here, and we can just get this variable by variable name rate. Let's put variable name rate here, and again send it to a template. So rate will be printed here. Let's go back to our template and find the place where we would like to show the rate and put it here. And again, I'm doing it just to show you the simplicity, the most simplest way of editing template as possible. If you prefer modifying HTML and CSS directly, you can do it here in template, but I'm too lazy for it and I'm using just a WYSIWYG editor. Let's check ourselves. Unit price, $10. So everything is correct. Let's imagine that one day we become super professional with hourly rate 12, and it's changed as per the value. So everything is great and works fine. What about the very last one, field which should be calculated based on the quantity and unit price? So total is a production of quantity, amount of hours, and hourly rate. And we can easily calculate it. We have everything for it, right? We have rate, we have time spent. We just need to multiply rate to time spent. So let's call this variable total. I see a few questions in the chat. Give me a second. I will finish with the invoice and then we will talk about them. Okay?
Yeah, that's cool. I can read them in a few seconds. Just let me.
So what is total? Total is the production of time spent in hours multiplied to hourly rate. And again, we would like to round it to 2 chars after comma. Now we need to put this variable inside our template in the right place. Right place should be somewhere here. Again, it's a simplified version. Just for an example, if you have something like tax calculation, you can add it to your template, to your script, and calculate it based on your requirements. Let's imagine that our requirements are pretty simple and we don't have any taxation in our invoice. All right, so 12 is not a good number for calculation and not good hourly rate. Let's put something like 100. Now it's become much better. We can see quantity, unit price, and total, which is calculated correctly as a production of unit price and quantity. All right. Let's have a look at the questions, and then we will continue with our beautiful template.
Awesome. Yeah. So we get some questions from Gideon, and so the first question would be, what is on the roadmap for the framework? What methods and integrations are planned?
Yeah, thank you for this question. The roadmap is very huge and mainly consists of the simplification for the process of getting data, aggregating data, and visualization of data. We already support a few very nice chart libraries, which allows you to build pie charts, bar charts, line charts with scripted reports. But in our plans to extend this list of supported libraries and make the possibility to use any library directly from scripted reports, we also working a lot on our special library for data aggregation. It's like a pivot tables in Excel, and it allows you to aggregate data by any field with any metric without writing too much JavaScript code.
Okay.
This is the nearest future of scripted reports. But in general, Report Builder is going to have a few very nice integrations with popular apps, make available the calculation from different places. Like currently, you need to create the report inside Report Builder, and then you can use it as a gadget. But we would like to extend it also to project reports, to sprint reports, dashboard reports, and all possible places in Jira where you would like to see some insights, some reports, some data visualizations, and so on.
Cool. Is there a way to integrate external systems like, I don't know, SharePoint, LexOffice, stuff like that, and to get values out of it?
Definitely, yes. Depends on the use case, on your requirements. You would like, most likely, you would like to combine Jira data with third-party data. And one of the most popular examples here is how to get external data. To do it, you can just use fetch, because it's just a JavaScript. It's a plain old JavaScript. It means everything which available in JavaScript available here. If you would like to access external system and third-party REST API, you can easily do it through fetch.
Cool. And I think the last question we had in the chat is there a support for Jira expressions?
If you're talking about Jira expressions as the part of the cloud framework, which allows you to evaluate some requests, currently it is not possible from Report Builder, but this is a topic of always a discussion. Are you really need it? Because the most of the time, when you would like to validate some idea, you can do it in different way through entity properties, through JQL, and through some JavaScript expression.
Okay.
So it depends on the use case. If the person who asked about evaluation of expressions could explain the use case, we can talk a bit more how we can achieve it with scripted reports, maybe even much easier.
So that would be maybe a topic for a meeting afterwards. Speaking of meetings, if you have any questions, just scan the QR code and just book a meeting on my calendar, and then we can talk about that. There's one more question, and maybe the last question for today. Is there a way to only get a single issue rather than get a list of issues by JQL and then access it with a zero index?
It's also possible. As I said, you can use directly fetch to get any data from Jira REST API, and you can access directly every issue on your Jira instance. But this method is much more powerful because the most of the time you would like to aggregate multiple data, multiple issues, scope of data, like all the issues in some project or all the issues which depends to some label or component or issue type or status, whatever. And you don't need to think, hey, what if my portion of data will be 200 issues? This method covers everything under the hood. It will get all the issues and portions and return you the list of all the issues. And always it's better to think in the idea that it's a list. It's something that you can iterate over, and then you can aggregate it. And when you decide to modify it, let's say currently we are working with case when we have one invoice, one issue, one invoice, and we would like to improve our application to something bigger, which process multiple issues, it will be very easy to do it. You don't need to rebuild it completely. Just a few rows will allow you to achieve support of multiple issues, not a single one.
Awesome. So thank you very much. Anything to add, Rustam, Andreas?
I think there's one more question actually that also it's connected to that. Given a JQL that returns n issues, can I create n distinct or separated reports? Andre?
I'm not 100% sure that I understand the question. If you're talking about multiple reports inside the one, yes, of course, it's possible. So you can even combine multiple visualizations into one. So you can get this data and then show it as a table, as pie chart, as bar chart in a single report. So your report is a canvas. You can paint whatever you like and visualize whatever you like, even multiple visualizations at once.
Yes, but it's all inside of the one report that you're working in. So
Yeah.
you can iterate over that list, and you can display whatever you like with this list of issues, but all inside of this one report. We don't have a way currently of spreading it into different reports.
What I also would like to show you just the idea that this report, when it's created, it's available currently only for me. And I'm the person, for example, which is responsible for invoices, could open it here from my reports, configure it, and just use it. And no more code required, no more JavaScript. You can just put the input parameters, modify them, rebuild your report based on the actual data, and export it. For example, make a printable copy, which you send by post, or save it as PDF with all the colors, logo, and other beautiness, which you configured with CSS. But if you would like to make it available for your teammates, for your management, for your sales department, who's responsible for invoicing, you can easily do it by sharing permissions. So here, from the report permissions, you can make it available for your teammates, because by default, every scripted report available for you only. And the way to make it available for everyone is to make it public for the whole instance, or share it with particular user or group or project of people. So now everyone on this instance will be able to use this report, and when they open it, they can put their own issue, which they would like to use for invoice, the valid invoice number, hourly rate, and so on. So you make it once, but the whole team could reuse it with their own scope of the content, their own invoices, hourly rate, and any other input parameters, configurable parameters, which you prepare for them. Okay. Any other questions?
No further questions. I guess one thing obviously to mention is that when you scan that QR code, you will be redirected to the Atlassian Marketplace and you can try out the report builder. We also shared some information via the chat. Again, if you have any questions, you can contact me or Andreas via the QR code or via the marketplace. And you will find all the documentations also linked in the marketplace. Just scroll down to the documentation section and you can find all the example code and step-by-step guides of how you can build the report builder. Okay.
I see one more question in the chat.
There's one more
If you
question.
have time.
Yeah, I have time.
Perfect. This question about, okay, what if you would like to make this invoice number auto-incremented and do not allow users to put it here manually? Definitely you can use any kind of entity properties to store this value. And the project entity property is the perfect place for this, in my opinion. Of course, you can do it. Or you can use user entity property, depends on the use case. So if you have only one person who is responsible for invoices, so perfect place to make it auto-incremented based on the user. So every time when user will generate new invoice, we can save current number of invoice to his entity property. Next time when he will open it, put exact number, the actual number. +1. Or if anyone can do it, not one particular user, you're absolutely correct. Project entities is a perfect place for storing this data.
Awesome.
All right.
Anything more to add? Andreas, I think we have a feedback form,
Okay.
right?
Yes, that's right. Just a few closing words from my side. Yes, we have a feedback form. Thank you, Jan, for the QR code. Everyone watching, if you would be so kind to have a look at that, that would be great. Of course, we want to hear from you, and we want to know if this is interesting for you, and so on and so forth. You can also leave your email address there if you would like us to contact you to discuss this topic further. From my side, I really have to say the flexibility of the system is that what I think is most interesting, and building an invoice here is the perfect example, really, because it's not a report, it's not a classic report, and that really shows that everything is basically possible. So if you have a little bit of creativity and some special demands, you can really go to town with that. Basically, it's a little bit of effort, of course, to build it, right? As you have seen it now, it doesn't take too long, but it involves some work. But the great thing is you build it once and you use it forever, and it does exactly what you want it to do. So yes, Jan?
Yeah, I just thought about my last 13 years of how many requests I got as a Jira administrator to build, I don't know, a PowerPoint or a PDF file with some company data and stuff like that. And to find that online is like really hard. And to do that within the tool you work, where you have all the data and you don't have to export anything, I think that is really, really awesome.
Yes, exactly. And of course, if you export the whole thing into PDF, then you again have to disconnect. It becomes static the moment you export it. That can be fine in some instances. By all means, do that. But you can also keep it live if you need that. So yeah, I think with the system, seeing is believing. So again, please go to the marketplace, try it out, play around with it. If you have any issues with it, contact us. If you don't want to use the feedback form, I can totally understand who wants to fill out feedback forms, right? Again, find me on LinkedIn. Let's chat. I would like to hear from you and hear your thoughts about it. And last but not least, of course, we can assist you if you have something that you would like to build or have built. So we can, as I said, we can assist you. We can do a workshop, some kind of training, or we can also offer to build a completely custom report for you if you like. So that is also a possibility.
Awesome. So thank you very much, guys. Andreas was tremendous. It was really fun.
Guys,
Great.
one more thing before we end. One more thing.
Okay.
Okay. The thing is, we have one big feature we didn't really show today. It's data aggregation library. Andre mentioned. He only mentioned it in a few words. It's called Pivotopia. You could find it in our documentation, basically, if you are interested in. But it's like, when you build something really complex, you need to write actually quite some code, to iterate through the list, etc., etc., etc. Pivotopia is the library, data processing library we created to make this process run easily. So you just send it a pointer to a data and it processes it. So maybe in future we will have one more webinar concerning Pivotopia only, because it is really powerful. Whatever data filtering capabilities you may need, whatever data processing capabilities you may need, calculation of totals, subtotals, different kind of pivoting data, whatever. So yeah, try it out.
So
yeah,
we definitely should do a part 2 about that. Awesome. Cool. Then thank you very much, guys.
Right.
I hope you enjoyed it. Fill out the feedback form and enjoy the rest of the day. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.